Let me see if I can share this. I'm technically challenged, so bear with me. Okay, how do I start? Can you see that? Well,
Yes, we see it.
I think I'm going to start off with a video, if I can, in a way of additional introduction to me. And so you know where I've come from, why I'm here. I hope that I can share that. Blah, blah, blah. What exactly can you see on the screen?
Currently looking at your PowerPoint.
What are you looking at now?
Still the PowerPoint. So let's see here.
Can
If
you see that?
options. No, we're still looking at the PowerPoint.
Uh,
Let's see.
Can you see that?
It's still the PowerPoint.
Oh, brother. That's kind of why I wanted to practice this before I started, but
Yeah. So if you go to share screen at the bottom of the screen,
okay.
maybe actually, no, actually, I'll take that back. Your screen is going to be stop share at the very top.
Stop video or I
Yes,
don't
stop
see
share.
it. Oh, I have new share.
Yeah, that'll be it. That'll work too.
Oh, brother.
And now you will select the whatever it is you're trying to share.
I'm sorry, guys.
So we're at your desktop. So whatever it is that you're trying to share from here, you can probably start to share it.
I gosh. I got pause, resume share. Sorry, I can't get it. Now I'm lost. Stop share.
All right.
Share. Desktop. Share.
Okay.
Can you see that?
I can, yeah. Is there to be audio with this?
Yeah. Oh, great. You don't hear it?
Well, no. I think there's an option in your share settings to share the audio as well.
I don't. Let's just forgo that. uh, it worked. Well,
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
there's an option on your end to share the audio as you're sharing the video. So you have to click both.
I don't see it.
Do you see the green share button at the bottom?
Yeah. I
Do you
got
see the
this.
little tiny white arrow beside the share screen at the bottom of the screen?
Share sound.
No. Oh, that's our screen. Okay. So yeah, all right, you see view options, click that.
Yep.
That's still us. Oh, fuck on it.
I'm gonna go back. Can you hear it now?
We can hear it
Who
now.
am I and why am I here? What possible difference can I make in the world and in the community I live in? I was born Mary Rubidoux, adopted by an Irish Catholic family. My new father wanted a baby girl, and my new mother wasn't sure. My name is Luanna McCraw, but my family and friends call me Lou. Unfortunately, my new mother was a nervous type and couldn't take crying babies, so I was raised by my aunt and uncle until I was in first grade. I was awakened one night, scurried off to places unknown. I woke up in the back of a car and peeked over the seat. We were moving slowly down a long driveway. All I heard was, "You're going to stay here for a while." A nun came and dragged me away, screaming and crying. I always knew I was adopted. When you do something wrong, they send you back. If a child could be depressed, I sure was one depressed kid. I didn't eat or play or have much to do with anyone. I just remember staring out the window, watching the kids playing outside. A little girl came up to me and said, "You know, you're lucky. None of us ever had any parents. At least you did, just for a little while." She was right, and I knew it, so I took her hand and we went out and played. I ended up with a new friend, and my new life began. In 1989, I earned a bachelor's degree in journalism in radio, TV, film, but never found my dream job. Then one day, I read about a Native American and AIDS conference. I attended and learned about graduate school. I didn't know what biostatistics and epidemiology was. Me get a master's degree? Impossible. After graduation in April of 1996, I began working for Cherokee Nation in health promotion, disease prevention, also known as Healthy Nation. Healthy Nation's main focus is promoting physical activity, good nutrition, and tobacco prevention. My current crusade is smoke-free casinos. In 2008, Cherokee Nation went tobacco-free with the exception of casinos. The opposition says we'll lose money and fails to consider the health effects that secondhand smoke has on casino employees and patrons. They say smoke-free casinos is an impossible task, but I don't accept that. Situations in life and in work can be challenging, but don't tell me it can't be done. Nothing is impossible. Nothing. Look at me. I'm here. I survived to make a difference. Stand up and make you.
Stand up and make yours now. Okay. Share. Whoops. How do I stop that?
Who am I?
Stop.
And
Help me.
You're not sharing screen now, so we can't see what you're seeing.
Oh, I can hear it. I'm trying to share my PowerPoint now.
Okay.
Whoa. So. So you can't hear that video?
No, ma'am.
Um, I'm sorry, I can still hear it.
So the red X will close that video
Where
for
am
you.
I?
Yep, she's on a Mac. So, yep,
Okay.
on the top left-hand corner, there's a red dot, a yellow dot, and a green dot. Click the red one, that'll close your video.
Okay. Okay, can you see that?
No, you're not sharing your screen right now.
Oh. Get out of it again. Do this. This.
All right, now you're sharing screen. But we only see your desktop. So I guess you go back to your PowerPoint.
Right here.
Yep. Slideshow. All right, there we go.
Again, I apologize. Like I said, I am not good with technology, and I'm not even good with Zoom, because anyway, oh gosh. Anyway, here's what we're going to talk about today. Who, what, why, where about traditional tobacco versus commercial tobacco. I'm not sure what your knowledge is about this topic. So I'm just going to tell you everything that I know about it. I want to say first up, yes, I am an American Indian. I'm Oto, Missouri, tribal member from Red Rock, Oklahoma. And I have to say that I am just one person, one Native American. I can't speak for all tribes. There are 576 federally recognized tribes in the United States. And I don't speak for all of them. I don't even speak for my own tribe. I just can only share my own experience, strength and hope with you guys, and just give you some of the knowledge that I have accumulated over the past 20 years. Okay. So we're going to talk about traditional tobacco. You know, sometimes it is smoked in pipes during ceremonies. It's never, hardly ever inhaled. We use it for smudging, for prayers and blessings. I have my own little smudge pot here that I use whenever I need to. I generally use it maybe once a month. I'll use it sometimes when people are really in need of prayer, or, you know, we've needed a lot of that this year and last year during COVID. It's sometimes used during ceremonies, all kinds of ceremonies like funerals or weddings or the beginning of conferences, or especially during planting season and harvesting. A lot of tribes use tobacco. Also, it's given as a gift to a healer or medicine man. If you go and seek guidance from a medicine man, you might want to take him some tobacco. Also, it's used for healing. Some people have it as a poultice. They'll you know, put it in water It cures bee stings. I mean, it'll take the sting out of a bee sting. I was about 15 years ago, I went to a medicine person in Cherokee, driven out to parts unknown with a friend of mine. I had horrible, horrible sunburn. We were at a summer youth fitness camp for our 4th and 5th graders in Adair County in Oklahoma, and I had stayed out too long, and I was just burnt to a crisp, and I was not feeling well. And someone said, you need to go to so and so, and they can help you with your burns. And I did, and I was skeptical, but I went because I was in so much pain, and the woman smoked the tobacco, and she blew it on my skin, mostly on my arms and shoulders, and I was just amazed. And she was praying in Cherokee, and of course I'm not Cherokee, so I did not understand what she was saying, but it was remarkable that pain went away, and I felt better that evening. So also I would like to say that not every tribe uses tobacco. They'll use different herbs. Alaska doesn't use tobacco because they don't have tobacco up there, so it's scarce. But they use things like cedar, sage, sweetgrass. I mean, other tribes use cedar, sage, sweetgrass, or red willow bark, and they use a combination of it. Let's see. Now, commercial tobacco, we know that it deliberately targets specific consumer groups, young people. It targets African Americans, of course, Native Americans. It has all kinds of chemicals in it that leads to addiction. And of course, the consumer uses it for self-gratification and personal pleasure. I like to say that traditional tobacco is not used, daily, and it's never used to, well, it's a sacred thing, and you just don't use it for pleasure. Of course, many indigenous nations have traditional stories on how tobacco was introduced to their people, and they're all similar. I mean, they're a little bit different, but they're all similar in nature of how the Creator gave us tobacco. Let's see. There's so many different stories of, dates. I just picked out several dates that I had heard of about where it originated. It's just, you can look it up or Google, you'll find so many different dates, but most people think that it came from the Andes, and then it spread north towards other indigenous communities and tribes. Of course, I did talk about this. Tobacco has been used by medicine people for both healing and blessing, never used casually or socially, often used to smudge off pests. I mean, it was the original off because of the nicotine, just had so many, it's so poisonous, and it's a natural pesticide. And I said that, you give it to guests. You can give it to any visitor as a way of honoring and paying respect to that person. And so what do we know about commercial tobacco? Yeah, I'm sure everyone know this is just a little, not even just a little bit of what is in your cigarettes. And traditional and sacred tobacco does not have all this stuff in there. So it's dangerous, toxic. Of course, we know it causes all kinds of cancers, lung cancer. My family, my dad died of emphysema because he smoked for 50 years. And mainly a lot of that, the reason I got into this business, health promotion, is because of my family, that every one of them, aunts and uncles, smoked. So I don't like smoking, and I don't like cancer either, but so I'm trying my best to get the education and information out there to whoever will listen, to not smoke. Of course, we know nicotine is poisonous, addictive. They say it's more addictive than cocaine and heroin. So powerful that farmers can't use it to kill insects. And of course, we know it changes your mood. People think it makes you feel better. You know, they get nervous or stressed out, and I've got to have a cigarette. So anyway, users rely on it to control their emotional responses to everyday life. So tobacco prevention and cessation, I'd like to say that I've, been in this prevention for many years. And the reason I came to Department of Health and Human Services was to try to build relationships with tribal people. They weren't able to get in the door. Some tribal nations, tribal people don't really trust the government for many reasons. So they didn't have a very good relationship when I got here, and my main job was just to try and build those relationships, but it was also to try to educate the people that I work with at the Tobacco Prevention and Control Branch at the Department of Health and Human Services. So part of that was trying to talk to them about the language they use in their communication with tribes. So I put this in here because I wanted you to know that you too can work with tribal people, but you just need to be made aware of the differences between sacred and commercial tobacco and what it really means. I mean, it doesn't mean the person goes outside and just smoke a cigarette and can say, well, I'm practicing my traditions by smoking this cigarette. That's not what it is. If they are practicing a sacred tradition, I guarantee you won't see it, because it is a private matter, generally a private matter, unless you're opening a tribal conference of some sort. They will do a little ceremony for everyone to see. But in most cases, these things take place in private, and you won't be participating in a ceremony. But if you want to somehow make a connection, you need to put the language in all of these, in your media, in your newsletters, in any educational material, in order to reach out to the tribal people. if you have surveys or if you have questionnaires, or, you know, any kind of intake forms, you might be asking people, do you, I mean, I know people do the 5 A's these days, but a lot of people don't ask whether they smoke traditional tobacco. I've had one case asked me that about a year ago if I did that, and I was surprised because it wasn't at a tribal hospital or clinic, and I was happy they asked me that. So to the next one. Okay, I'm gonna take a breather. Again, I apologize for my ineptness with the technology. But that's the end of part 1, and I'd appreciate if you had some questions and I had some answers.
Well, we certainly have some questions. And I think you're aware that you're presenting to a live audience here on site as well as online. And so I'll give the online questions first, and then if Matt can help me out and take the mic across the
Okay.
room. So the first question I have for you is, one second. Some of these you've answered. So let's see. What kind of resistance do you get from other American Indians regarding tobacco prevention?
What kind of resistance?
Yeah, what kind of resistance do you get from the tribal community when you talk about tobacco prevention?
I never thought of that one. Resistance. I don't think I have had any resistance. A long time ago, when I did cessation in person, I have to say at Cherokee Nation, they have tobacco smoke shops. Over, I don't know how many they have now, but probably a 50 or 75 across 14 county area. And people would ask, why are we having these cessation classes trying to get folks to quit smoking, yet we sell tobacco products to our people? And, you know, I could never answer that. That's not, we know, we always tried to we want them to stop doing that, of course, but it's a separate entity. We don't have control over tobacco sales. You know, they make money off of that. So there was pushback on that because they thought it was, you know, you're doing this on one hand and on the other hand, you're selling cigarettes. So, I mean, it made it hard. I said, yes, I know, I don't like it, but this is what we're up against. But here in the state of North Carolina, there's not been any pushback. They are most tribes are very welcoming. I have set up information tables at powwows, and people come over. They want the information. They are a little surprised to see me there because apparently before I got there, no one had ever set up a information table to promote a quit line. Or some people are think maybe, I don't know, I don't talk to those people that don't want to quit. I mean, I sometimes do because they know they need to quit, but some people are very adamant about they'll just come over and smoke right by you. Like they're, I've had people to do that, like they're, I don't know, protesting or I'm not sure what they were trying to say without saying a word. They just came over and smoked by my table. So, but for the most part, tribes are very welcoming and want you there. They know they have a problem with smoking and they want their people to quit.
Thank you for that. So I'm going to combine two questions for you. A few slides back, you had all of the different chemicals that were in commercial tobacco. What's in the sacred tobacco and how was it purchased?
Nicotine is in the sacred tobacco. It's not purchased. It's a lot of it can grow in the wild, but these days a lot of tribes and tribal people grow their own tobacco. Let me see, the sacred tobacco, I always have trouble with the Nicotiana rustica is the sacred tobacco. And the other tobacco, I have my notes here, is Nicotiana tabacum, which is a more potent tobacco, and that's big tobacco uses that type of tobacco plant. Of course, they add other things, but a lot of tribes nowadays have gone back. You know, the second part will kind of answer a part of this, but I'll say it here. A lot of tribes right now are growing their own tobacco, and there's all kinds of different ceremonies that go into growing it. And every tribe is different in how they grow. I mean, they prepare the soil, they pray over the soil. You know, when preparing the soil, it has to be you know, a certain size and facing a certain directions, like toward the east. People put different things in the soil. A couple of northern tribes put fish in their soil. So I mean, but everyone does it differently, and I mean it's a little similar. And so they also save the seeds for the next time, for the next seasons. Cherokee Nation has saved their seeds, and they have a seed bank. So any citizen can ask for seeds of all different kinds, not just tobacco, but other things like corn and beans. But they save their seeds from North Carolina. And those are the ancient seeds that came from Cherokee and that area in North Carolina. And it came over the Trail of Tears with them, you know, a couple hundred years ago, and they've saved those. So those are the same traditional seeds, you know, from years and years ago. Any more questions?
Janice Oxendine. I'm from the Lumbee tribe of Robertson County, North Carolina. And I
Hi.
enjoyed the presentation because I do the tobacco sensation also. And it's kind of hard to help people that smoke, dip, and chew once they've been doing it for hundreds of years. And that's the hardest thing that I have with our elder people. I mean, it's tough with our young people, but also with our elders. You know, you're not going to take their tobacco, their snuff, because that's a habit they formed over the years. And these big companies, they want to keep people smoking, the big tobacco companies. So that was the problem for addiction, for people to continue smoking from one generation to the next generation. So that's what we're trying to do here in our county, Robertson County, to help our people, you know, to see what happened, why it's so hard for people to stop smoking, because all these chemicals, and I had read one article, sometimes they may put 5,000 chemicals in there to keep people smoking. So that's money, just like with anything else. And so that's one of the problems we're having here in Robertson County too, with our people, you know, dipping and chewing and smoking. So it's a challenge here in our county as well.
Thank you for that comment. We've worked with the Lumbies. I happen to have I don't know if you've ever seen this brochure, but we'll be getting this brochure out to you soon. It's actually in the printing process that we able to work with your tribe on the beautiful brochures. I also would like to say that there was a surveys done in 2000 and let's see, 8, I believe it was 18 and 19, and it was smoking rates, and it was alarming. The smoking rates for the tribal citizens here in North Carolina was at 39.5%. And that was higher than the previous rates we had back in the 16 was like 25%. But the surveillance people or epidemiologists said that they did not ask about about traditional tobacco, you know, if they smoked traditional tobacco. Also, it combined with those numbers are also vaping. So I think with those two combinations of factors, I think that's the reason why the smoking rates have jumped up to 30. I think it was 39.5%. Shocking. I'm not happy with that.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
So I have a few more questions online here. One
Shoot.
question asks, specifically now that you mentioned vaping, do you consider vaping to be more dangerous than actual smoking?
That's probably just an opinion question for me. I think it could be more dangerous, but there's a lot of unknowns because there's not a lot of studies that have come out yet. I mean, it's fairly new. I mean, tobacco smoking and snuff and all that, you know, it took a lot of time for someone to get cancer. You know, it took like 10, I mean, it can take a lot longer, like 20 years, and finally they get cancer. With vaping, you know, there's people that have that, you know, it crystallizes their lungs. I will tell you a story that just about a young girl. She had my best friend, her granddaughter, which she raised. She had cystic fibrosis, and at the age of 5, she had a lung transplant. And she's, you know, she's had so many problems and infections and been in and out of the hospital so many times. Well, when she turned 14 years old, you know, in your teens, you kind of rebel. Well, she had a lot to rebel about, you know, her life was not, not a quality life. Anyway, she decided to vape, and she didn't vape very long, but it destroyed her lungs, and she died. She died last Sunday after a year and a half of struggling, to survive. They didn't allow her to get another lung transplant because she wasn't in good condition, and they didn't think she could survive. But I'm sorry, I'll be leaving tomorrow to attend her funeral on Friday, but she made a little video trying to encourage family and friends to not ever vape because it was dangerous, and that she wished that she had never started. So that's just a little story about vaping.
Thank you for sharing that.
Any more questions?
I think we might be at a decent place to keep going and hopefully kind of grab some last questions towards the end.
Okay. I wanted to throw this out there. So for this next part, these are some dates that you can remember. Of course, we know the famous 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I'm not a fan of Chris Columbus. I don't celebrate that. I celebrate the Indigenous Day. 1830, we know that's Indian Removal Act. It removed the 5 civilized tribes to Indian territory, you know that. But, a lot of tribes moved to Indian territory. A lot of tribes were moved all over the country to somewhere else. Of course, well, you can just look at those different. I just threw some of those things in there so you would kind of see a timeline of things are happening to the tribes. Of course, we know Indian boarding schools, that's been in the news lately. My tribe was relocated in 1881. 1887 is the Dawes Act. I don't know if you know about the Dawes Act. It basically took away land. I mean, it gave land to individual citizens, thereby, kind of destroying the each tribal area or reservation, and that land that was not allotted to individual citizens was surplus land, so it went out to white people to have. There I am. I was born in I admit my age now. Born in 1956. In 1978, American Religious Freedom Act, we were able to practice our religion. After that date, we could dance freely. We could use use tobacco in ceremonies. I mean, all kinds of different. Of course, these things happened anyway. Behind, in secret, but officially in 78, we were allowed to practice our ceremonies. If you notice, in 1924, we could vote, finally vote. But of course, it didn't happen in all states. The reason I'm sharing this is that a lot of things were taken away from us, systematically, year by year by year, taken away. Things were lost, like tobacco. Here's what we very nearly lost: our land, children, language, all of these things, culture, customs. Now, we didn't lose it. I mean, it nearly lost. We lost a lot of it. And one of the main things is we lost the use, the ceremonial use of tobacco. And so what happened was we started to use commercial tobacco in ceremonies. Since we didn't have our own tobacco, or a lot of the tribes did not have their own tobacco, so they just substituted that tobacco in ceremonies. And I will tell you that when I was growing up, I mean, you could see it in powwows all over. And I have to say, even today, they use commercial tobacco, like cartons of tobacco. You will see given, well, like for instance, for powwows, they give gifts and to the drummers, the singers and the drummers that are at the powwows. They will go out to the center drum and bring them cartons of tobacco. And that has not changed. I just went to the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, their powwow in July, and they had 10 drums. They were all competing for, prize money. So there were 10 drums over on one side of the arena where they were set up, and you could see a cloud of smoke coming from that area. But it's still going on today, where they use that commercial tobacco, because there's just so many people still smoking. And that's why, I mean, it kind of changed. We were using traditional, and then all these things were taken away from us systematically. Couldn't do the ceremonies anymore, couldn't grow the tobacco, it changed everything about our lives. I mean, just think of being uprooted and moved to somewhere else. And then next thing you know, you're not allowed, you can't dance. You're not allowed to dance. You're not allowed to speak your language. You get in trouble for speaking your language. I've had family members that were in boarding school. Of course, as you saw from my video, I was in the orphanage. I mean, it wasn't a boarding school, but I mean, it wasn't a good place either. So we did lose a lot. We became addicted to cigarettes and other spit tobacco and things of that nature. Oops. Where I got all of my information is, I know it's kind of light. A lot of places I go to right now to keep up with the information that I have is all these different places: the California Indian Health Board, Cherokee Nation, and Intertribal Council of Michigan, National Indian Health Board, National Native Network, and the Public Health Law Center. They are all good resources that you can read more about. Here am I, the first powwow that I had gone to. Cute, huh? Back here in the back is my dad. He's my adopted dad. I don't know if you can see this, but he has a cigarette in his hand. There's a little puff of smoke right there. And this was at the, they called it the Citizen Band Potawatomi powwow that I was allowed to go to when I was very young. Oh, this one is the map of the tribes that I work with, where they are. There are, I have to be honest with you, I have not been able to contact a person from the Saponi tribe. I just cannot seem to get anyone to talk to me there. But I've had good contact with most of all the rest of the tribes, and some better than others are so welcoming. I feel like family. So also there's the urban Indian organizations that reach out to other tribal citizens. The Triangle Native American Society is here in where I live, around Wake County. So I thought I'd let you look at that, see where your tribal neighbors are. And that's it. Unless I can, we created this logo, American Indian, the Quit North Carolina logo, with the help of all the tribes. We had our contacts, they decided on this design to be their design. So, and there's the quit line information for anybody that needs to quit. So does anyone have any questions?
Yep. So we have a few more questions online. A few kind of left over from earlier that I thought it would be good to kind of hold off on them in case you answer the question throughout the presentation. And so one of the questions is there progress being made on the reservations for lowering tobacco use?
That's a good question, and one that I really don't know because, well, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of tribes. I would say that some progress has been made. You know, the problem is that we do not have enough research, surveys. We are sometimes referred to as the asterisk nation. If you look at any data, you will see we are in the other category. There's a little asterisk and we're in the other category because there's not enough people asking us, you know, do you smoke? It's just the data is so far and few between that we just don't know the information. Now, there are individual tribes that are on their own doing surveys on their own. Cherokee Nation has done surveys. The Eastern Band has done some surveys. Now, the state tribes are pretty limited, you know, infrastructure-wise, resource-wise, that they are not, you know, can't really combine and do their own surveys or even together. But I have been advocating my shop all this time that we need to get out there and track and do an American Indian tobacco survey or do a behavioral risk survey. There's an American Indian behavioral risk survey that is available, but you know, it takes money. And then it takes cooperation from the tribes to do this. So, you know, some tribes don't want to be surveyed again. So it's it's a little tricky in getting the information, but the few tribes that I know of, and the smoking rate, I say smoking, you know, that's just commercial tobacco has gone down. But when you add in with the vaping seems to have gone up among younger people. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a similar trend that we're seeing elsewhere as well. Can you speak a little bit more to this? What resistance have you received from casino owners around the no smoking policies?
Well, I can tell you, we are working with the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. I am very excited to tell you that they do have an ordinance that is in the process of being hopefully voted on maybe next month or in December. We've been working with them for several months, and they were able to actually present before their tribal council back in the summer. I think it was August, July or August. They did a very good presentation. The tribal council was, you know, some of them were for it, some of them weren't, because they were afraid they weren't going to. Everybody's afraid they're not going to get as much money. The revenues are going to be low. But, you know, a lot of tribal casinos went tobacco free during COVID. There was over 150 casinos nationwide that went tobacco free. Now, some of those have gone permanently tobacco free, and Eastern Band of Cherokees are right now tobacco free, smoke free. But some of the community members were afraid that they could change that at any time and start smoking. And the person that really brought this forward was a casino worker there. So she got with other people, and now it's kind of a coalition of community members, you know, working together to try to get this passed. Now, they weren't able to get it done because there was an election that happened. And so there, when an election occurs, everything is wiped off the books. They try to get all their business done, you know, before the new council comes in. And they weren't able to get that part done. So they had to start all over, resubmit their ordinance, and it was read. It has to be read first, and then it goes to the next month where it's voted upon. So the coalition thinks they have the support from the tribal council. So I'm hoping that it'll pass before the end of the year. Now, another piece of news, Navajo Nation has just passed an ordinance through their council. And I mean, it was overwhelming support for them to go smoke free in their casinos. And they've been working on that for 15 years. I mean, it takes time. The president, Nez, will have to sign that within 10 days. If he does nothing, it automatically, I think it automatically passes. But the 10 days is just about up. So it could be it'll be effective immediately. So.
Awesome. So another question I have for you is, could you speak a little bit more about the tobacco prevention within high schools?
Well, I would say that, you know, we have not much is happening right now during COVID. I tell you that. Where's that? map. We have regional, we have 10 regions of managers that work in this area. I wish I had put that other map up, but they go out and do presentations to different, they have been, I mean, during COVID it's very different, but they have different presentations that they have, and they'll go out to the different high schools. There are, I can't, you caught me off guard on that one. There's a couple of curriculums that they use. You Quit, To Quit, I think, and then there's a youth one. I'm sorry, I'll have to look that up and get back to you.
Okay, no problem there at all. And then secondhand smoke amongst the tribal nations. Do you have any data or information on secondhand smoke?
There's some of that. I mean, I don't have data. Like I said, data is hard to come by these days. We know that there are, secondhand smoke with, housing. A lot of people, we try very hard to get them to pass, smoke-free policies in, because a lot of tribes have their own housing, just regular housing, and then housing for the elders. And there are some places are not smoke-free, and a lot of the people that live there don't like the smoke that comes from people smoking, in their same building. But secondhand smoke is, it's a problem, in the casinos, in the, daycare used to be a problem too. If they had any childcare facilities, there was a problem sometimes with that, because of workers would come in to work and they would have, that aroma on their uniforms, and it would trigger asthma with some of the children. So, policies had been, had to be implemented, for, you can't come in smelling like smoke. If you do, you're going to have to turn around and go back, take a shower. I mean, they've had to be, those policies are, you see more and more of it in recent years than in times past, but we still lack a lot of data about that.
All right, so I have one more online question, and then we'll go back to the room. Is sacred tobacco the same as what is sometimes called rabbit tobacco?
Called what?
Rabbit tobacco?
Oh, I've not heard that term before. Rabbit?
Okay, so
Like
someone here says no.
I've not heard that one before. So can someone tell me more? Who?
No, it's not the same as sacred tobacco. That's
Oh,
some
it-
kind of a different kind of weed that grows. It grows, locally here in Robinson County, North Carolina. It's not the same as the sacred. But
Oh,
people
thanks,
will-
Janice.
People will smoke it though.
I bet it doesn't, it's not good. Rabbit.
Other
tobacco.
questions? Comments?
Any more questions or comments? What time is it?
All right, I think that does it for most of the room.
Oh.
I did see in the Q&A a comment about, one second, I'll find it again. One individual says they had an opportunity to attend a powwow in Sampson County, and it was a great experience, and they remember announcing no tobacco or alcohol use allowed. So it sounds like there is some progress being made, at least in one part of the state.
Yes, we've, I believe, Kahari, Lumbee, Waccamaw, and Occaneechi Band of Saponi Nation have tobacco-free powwows, which is really quite remarkable. It is very hard. I mean, a lot of tribes, not a lot. It's just like one of the last places to be smoke-free. I mean, casinos are hard, but it's been very difficult to sometimes pass that policy. But the other thing is hard to enforce. I have to tell you, when I was at Cherokee Nation, we passed that policy in 2008 to be tobacco-free all over, the grounds. They used to smoke in the buildings, but all over the grounds, the headquarters, all, even the ceremonial grounds, they said was tobacco-free. And when that powwow came up, we had signs all over, we do not allow tobacco, can't smoke, can't chew, can't dip. But it was just so hard for everybody to be on board. Maybe it was just that first few years, nobody would enforce it. The police wouldn't even enforce it. Our own tribal police refused to enforce it. And so therefore everybody was smoking at the powwow. And I was running around telling people you couldn't smoke. It's like, you're not allowed to smoke. And then people would be mad. But it really just took time, and it took a while for people to know about it, to accept it. I mean, it was so new back then. But really, even today, it's just, you don't see it as much. There might be somebody smoking off, toward the woods, not right, near the arena. But I was told when I went to the Eastern Band of Cherokees that they weren't allowed to smoke there on that, during the powwow. But a lot of people would get up and just move to another area, not near the arena. But like I said, where those drummers were singing and drumming, there was like a cloud of smoke right there. So, and then a lot of the vendors that come will smoke. They're from some other place. So it takes a lot of time and energy, education, and enforcement. You have to be able to step up and just say, I'm sorry. When you send out your flyers, a lot of people don't even have those on their, their powwow flyers. They'll have, like, underneath on the last line, it'll say no alcohol, no firearms, no dogs sometimes. But it hardly ever says no smoking. They need to publicize that on their flyers. And there's registration a lot of times also. There'll be registration forms for, like, vendors. It sometimes costs money for vendors to come and set up at the powwow. And a lot of times I don't see anything that says, be aware you're not allowed to smoke. So, the tribes need to be aware and step up and make that known.
Yeah, you made a comment earlier about, gifts to the drummers being, this commercial tobacco, cartons, you said. So is this like cartons of cigarettes they will be gifting?
Yes.
It's very
A
interesting.
lot of times, I mean, that's not the only gifts they give. A lot of times they'll do a dance, a blanket dance, and they'll dancers will come out and donate money, and they'll give that money to the drummers. But a lot of times you'll just see cartons of cigarettes, and people will come out and just place it on the drum, and it's meant to honor them.
Mhm.
It's meant to honor. I mean, it's given in an honoring and respectful way. I don't want to take away from that,
Right.
but I still have a little problem with tobacco, with commercial tobacco. I don't like people to smoke.
No, I hear that as well. So we'll give it another opportunity for any other questions or comments. I believe we're good. This has been a very great presentation. I might actually have another one here. So I have a question online, says, who exactly gives the cartons of cigarettes?
It could be anybody. I mean, it could be just a family member trying to honor the drummers, somebody that it could be, it could be, I'd hate to say this, but it could be like the powwow committee might want to honor them. It could be a tribal council person, but really any citizen that wants to honor the drum, can give them a cigarette. Now, they could give them a blanket. I mean, you've seen, well, I've seen where they've given like baskets of food or a Pendleton blanket. They will come out. There are other options for tribal citizens to honor the drum than giving them cartons of cigarettes.
Right.
They're just other things they can give them. I've seen them give them shawls, blankets, money. I mean,
Absolutely. This has been a great presentation. Thank you so much for your time, your energy.
and I appreciate being given the opportunity to share what I know, and feel free to, if you have any questions. I had left my email on there. Please reach out to me anytime, and I'll be happy to answer or find out the answers if I don't know them. And I'm sorry for that technical glitch.
No, it is absolutely fine. We got through it, and this was a great presentation.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.